Resource. The topic of this video is going to be redemption education, my experience and expertise, plus Q&A. But as usual, before we get started, this video is going to be for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for any misuse of the information. These are simply my thoughts, views, and opinions on the topic being discussed. With that being said, I encourage everyone, please govern yourselves accordingly. All rights are reserved. Now, let's get into the topic. I'm still here. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining me. Those who will join me, there may not be a lot of people. I apologize for coming to you all late. I meant to come before you all earlier in the day. That's something I'm going to work on, but I wanted to give an update to let you all know, those that still continue to follow my channel, those who are still subscribed, I do appreciate you, and I am still here. And I've been covering a series dealing with redemption education. By the way, this book, there's some other books that I plan on going over to do a review about, by the way. I'm proud to announce I had 2 consultations recently. They went very well. I know for a fact the first one did. The second one came right after, went well. But I wanted to maybe add some clarity and insight into this type of information. It was stated to me when I first started learning about this material many years ago that it's not a silver bullet, by the way, that this type of information will take time. I've done a lot of research, by the way. I've studied different processes, and this experience that I have, even though I'm at a certain level with different types of paperwork I filed, has enabled me to make a very good assessment and evaluation for those out there who do teach this type of information. There's, of course, those who do or are aware of this redemption information. I don't refer to as the that other word term SC. You will know there's people out there that are advanced and that do an excellent job, in my opinion. Several people, but keep in mind there are different processes, and each one, while giving my disclaimer, has to do their own homework and research to see or maybe make a determination of what they feel will fit them best, by the way. So please keep that in mind, that when you are studying and learning this type of information, by the way, you have to do your due diligence, and it's not going to happen overnight. By the way, there's different processes. There's people out there that have come out that tried to say, claim different things. But as all the years that I've been studying this type of information officially since 2004. I've been knowing about this information where I've been aware since 2003, officially. By the way, when I first heard about private classes in the city that I'm in, by the way, it took me like a whole year before I was able to find out where the meetings were at before I attended. So believe it or not, over time, throughout the years, as years have progressed, there's newer technology. The information has gotten a whole lot better, by the way. I see someone that just jumped into the chat. Says Stacy Gilly Ross says, hello, greetings to you. Thank you for joining, Stacy. Appreciate you. So, and going over this information and to add clarification, I've received emails from time to time of people that say, hey, Dorsey, where do I start off? Or I'm ready. I currently at this time do not offer classes. What I'm sharing on here, the books and other books I've shown, this is simply a courtesy. I wanted to provide evidence that this information was real, that this was not hearsay. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not spookism. I talk about the legitimate side of redemption education. I do not use that term sovereign citizen. I've never referred to myself as that. Please keep in mind that if you hear someone mention the term sovereign citizen, a lot of times they're using that is an umbrella term that is used to discredit a group of people, to try to make them look like they're crazy, to try to make them look like they're conspiracy theorists. And you have to be careful stereotyping people, lumping everyone in one category. There's people that come out with these memes on Facebook, as you know, that has like it could be these 10 different commandments or rules, but they violate their own things that they post. For example, they'll say part of their 10 commandments is not to point the finger or not to stereotype or point everyone in a whole box as being a conspiracy theory or having extremist tendencies, when they themselves do that, and they don't assess each person on their own individual merit or on an individual basis, but just are quick to lump everyone and say, yeah, that person over there, they're more, and they haven't even ever done any research behind that person. I had a friend who was telling me about another friend, and this is no shade being thrown, I'm just using this as an example, but the other friend didn't understand, who was friends with my friend, what I was into. He just assumed he heard about it before and said, yeah, Alan, he calls me, that's my middle name, he said he's with the Moors. And I will say there was a activist group many years ago that helped wake me up, and they were actually working with other activists at the time. I've never officially been a member of the Moorish Science Temple. I've never been a member of the Moorish National Moors, because there's different factions and different groups. So that's called stereotyping, when someone falsely accuses someone without evidence, without merit, and it's form of attack, and it's like a way of throwing shade at someone, by the way, when you don't know about a person's background. I learned this information independently. I've been transparent a long time ago, by the way. If you follow my work from the very beginning, now some people may be new to my channel. In case you are, I suggest you go back and watch my old videos. The reason I left them up, even the videos that I may appear more emotional in, I was just keeping it real. I'm showing how I matured throughout the years. I've learned this information, but I definitely can provide insight. And I want you guys to be aware, if you're studying this type of redemption information, there are multiple pathways. Just like if you take one particular road or freeway to get to a destination, you don't have to take that same route. There may be multiple routes that you can take, multiple pathways that can lead you to the same destination that you're trying to get to. Another thing, people refer to this information as status correction. And I want to say, there's what some people don't understand. There is really behind the scenes, I've been able to confirm from my private sources, by the way, that there is a thing where they have you listed at a certain status. Now, some people have looked at it or developed these stereotypes or urban legends that they have not researched or just heard, or formed these opinions that they think that this deals with diplomatic immunity. Now, there's certain things related, but that may pertain to a particular process. But redemption education, to kind of give you guys an inside look, what I discovered doing very in-depth research recently, it deals with a college class, or a class that legal students or people who go into law, maybe finance or certain types of business or accounting will take, called business law or business and the law. And I highly, highly suggest that you do your own due diligence. There's in the previous videos I've mentioned, there's PDF files of books that you can research that will validate that UCC financing statements are real. They're not these made up rumors that you hear. What's happening is this information has been hidden from the general public. Even books like this, people are not aware of, simply because people don't do research like that. That's why I've come into play. If you go back and watch my older videos from a long time ago, a few years ago, I've done books, and this part of the series, the same people that make this particular book. I would say this manual, by the way, is more advanced. By the way, there are other books part of this series, I think, that can assist one. And the way that this information is unconventional on a collegiate level, but it's not difficult, it's not impossible. By the way, some think that this is difficult to achieve, and they wonder, why do people charge or ask a donation? And I can explain that as well. I myself in the past have done my own due diligence, and I've many years ago when this information was through word of mouth, where you had to know someone locally in the city where I was at to find out where the meetings were privately, to learn from other people who may have already been more advanced or had their feet wet already. I had to pay a donation many places. There was always a fee to get inside. They had to rent the hall or the building. Nowadays, with technology, people have access to webinars. People can send things through email, templates, documents, and it's gotten much better. So I would say when I was studying this information many years ago, people don't take that into account. And they say, hey, Dorsey, you've been part of this a long time and you still haven't made it all the way there yet. Yeah, and this is part of some of the reasons, and some of the people that I know about who are a lot more advanced than myself, who I've, you can say, made an assessment, evaluated their procedures. They also charge or ask a donation because I understand people's time equals money, and some people are looking for a quick fix and or silver bullet. And I'm here to tell you, you're not going to necessarily find that unless you are an elite, unless you were really born into this type of information. Because remember, I put out a video a while ago. I put this out a long time ago because I already evaluated this. But just to relay this message to show proof, if you're familiar with Pastor Lindsey Williams, he was a whistleblower many years ago who was a chaplain at the time, who was asked to come live with the elites of the world at the Alaskan pipeline. Many years ago, he used to write books that made predictions and stuff, made some people who were into it a lot of money, similar to cryptocurrencies, through his predictions, because the elites would directly tell him when they would get ready to collapse different markets, like what happened with the GameStop thing with oil. They would tell him that how they control things. So there really is a ruling class, elite. Whether you believe in it or not. I'm not trying to spook people when I mention the term Illuminati. This is not a conspiracy theory. There really is a secret society. And I have books I'm going to, down the road, I'm going to delve into just to give you guys a sneak preview. I would like to do that maybe sometime soon down the road, by the way. And I've shown books, but I have articles that a friend of mine showed me. They even sold at a grocery store and even Barnes and Noble bookstore, by the way, that shows like a manual. It's like really thin, like almost like a magazine. I won't say necessarily a book, but it shows different secret societies, different groups, and explains their purpose and what is behind them, and how, you know, they were where they originated from. Because I was speaking with a guy many years ago who he was over a lodge when I was considering. I didn't go through any initiation. I was considering pledging at through a Masonic lodge, through a particular chapter, by the way. And he was, I think, under Scottish Rite. And he said that they put out information in books. So he said those old rules, how they would, you know, do X, Y, Z. If you told, he said this, a lot of stuff he said is in libraries. It's on the internet. It's public information now. They can't hide it anymore, by the way. So just keep that in mind, that if you know how to research, this stuff is not secretive. By the way, this book is almost selling out, if not sold out, on Amazon. This is the original version. There's an updated version I have of this book, by the way. So just to give you kind of a similar idea, that if you know how to research, you know what to look for. This information is not hidden. This is public information. Even about the secret societies, when I was giving that example, a friend of mine who knows about the same type of information has told me, hey, look, they got this book, and I ended up purchasing some books he even gave to me. There was even a book that was like a manual, was put out by the FBI that deals with homegrown, the T word, and domestic extremism, by the way. And I can break all of that down. My friend's mother-in-law, who's an astute person who used to work in human resource. She may have been a school teacher before, but she was in the field, which is human resource, that gets in the communications, the public relations field, by the way. Since she's recommended, I don't know if she's ever seen any of my videos or if she knows about it. By the way, I just told her not too long ago I had a YouTube channel, so it sounded like she didn't know I had a YouTube channel, but she had always suggested through a friend of mine that I should work for the FBI. She said that. However, I have not, you know, that's at a higher level, and there's different departments, by the way. I had a cousin some years ago that was trying to get me to do that when I was in the process of moving back from Florida. I found out I didn't even have any idea at the time. He had a connection with the guy because I have a cousin that's in Washington, D.C., and he had a connection with a guy that worked for the FBI police. And I didn't even know that there was a different faction. I always looked at the FBI as like James Bond or like detectives. I didn't even understand they had a police division. To show you, you know, I'm just being honest with you guys. I didn't know. So I've learned different things, but I'm just telling these stories to help explain the points that I'm going over, by the way. So it looks like some more people jumped into the chat. You or someone else, by the way. 7100 Warhawk says, hey, how are you? Good to catch you, my brother. Appreciate you, Warhawk. Thank you for joining. Stacy Guillory Ross says, this is good. Can you show the book once again? Yes. This book right here is called Operating Sovereign, Live Free, Stay Free. By the way, I purchased it on Amazon, but however, they had a website on the back called www.sovereign filing connection. I'll hold it up to the camera so you guys can probably see even the ISBN number. I know years ago, many bookstores have closed down, especially, you know, because of COVID. We know Borders Books went out of business. I believe Barnes and Noble, some of the brick and mortar locations are still around, by the way. So this is another website they have called www.sovereignfilings.com. And I want to say they just have that word in there. I refer to this education as redemption education. I don't use this really this term, but if you the definition by itself, the word sovereign means to be self-governed or like a king or queen over it means you govern your own commercial affairs, by the way, because a lot of these types of contracts we get engaged with that deals with commerce, by the way, deals with contract law. A lot of the information related to this type of independent research deals with business law, by the way. Like, for example, I encourage you guys to look up, there's a book, a PDF file called Business Law, and it will prove that UCC financing statements are not something that is illegal or criminal, by the way. And see, you got gatekeepers out there who are putting out disinformation to try to scare people or spook people away from learning about this type of information, because the public sector makes money off of people's birth certificates, their social security card. Yes, those are forms of registered securities instruments, by the way. Despite what certain individuals were saying, those are forms of registered securities. You have to look up the definition of what is a registered security. The glossary, what I like about a lot of these books, they have a glossary in the back with definitions. Some of the other manuals that I planned on going over, I was going to do a video yesterday. Now we're into the 12th, which is Friday, by the way. But I was tired, you know. I want to do a series. I'm going to stay on this for a while to try to delve into. And if you have additional questions, by the way, after I've done a consultation, you may need to set up another consultation. By the way, I had someone ask me, they had a consultation where they text me and had a whole bunch of questions. I went over the allotted time. By the way, I went over a half hour, and that's no biggie. You know, it's kind of like a surprise that I do, but I, you know, don't want to put all that out there. Not saying I will necessarily do that each time. There's people who are respectful that do honor the allotted time period. But one of the things, if you do plan on setting up a private consultation, if you want to know what I know, the information should be in the description box. Whenever I upload the video, you shoot me an email, but make sure you leave a telephone number and a good time for me to reach you at, because I'm on a schedule as well, by the way, and I will try to contact you immediately. Like one of the consultations, the person Cash App me right away. If I see the Cash App or PayPal, is almost as quick as one of the first consultations I had where someone PayPal me. I got with them the same day. If I can, I'll get with you the same day. If not, the following day or whenever. And I'll contact you. If I see your number in there, I'll call you first or find out. Don't get scared if you're at work or you're busy at that time. We can always reschedule, by the way, but I want to try to get those knocked out right away. You know, I don't waste no time But when I'm waiting, I don't know when the person is going to call because if the individual has not left their number, then I don't have a way and say you may have paid and you're wondering, hey, what's going on. Just keep that in mind. And if you're looking to try to get involved or learn about redemption education for the first time, you may need to set up an hour consultation. So I charge $50 per half hour because you're not going to learn a lot of the information I go over that I share in private consultation is really high level. I went over a plethora with both the private consultations I had recently. I know the first person, she was very impressed. The second individual, he was impressed as well, to the point. But I am pressed for time, by the way. I don't have classes. There are people that I can recommend, by the way, and you may have even heard me mention some of the names of different I don't necessarily refer to as gurus. However, people who are very advanced, more so than myself, at teaching this type of information, and one in particular I'm very confident of. By the way, I've purchased their webinars material from all of these people. There's 3 people in particular. There's another person that I was taking a class from last year. I'll put them in an advanced category as well to show I'm not in no competition with people. I try to help people out, people that really want to know. But if you want to know additional information, you may need to set up, if you want to learn about redemption getting started. This is not a quick formula. This is not a one size fits all silver bullet. There's a plethora of subjects you're going to have to be dedicated. But from my experience, I do know some of the shortcuts, by the way. I know about the do not detain list. I know what it takes to get on there. My first consultation I had before the gentleman, I explained to the young lady, for example, just using this as an example, about what it takes to get on the do not detain list, some details that I don't discuss in person. There's like a poor man's way. And I discuss this based on how one operates, by the way, too. Where if you are eligible to get on that based on, things I went into detail, I don't normally go as in depth. And this book, this manual right here, by the way, goes over, this is one of their most advanced in their series. Now, this is not their latest book in their series. There's another book called, I forget. It's called Operating Invisible, by the way. So let's say, hey, you say you don't want to pay any guru. You're still on the fence about this information. By the way, you can always order these books, and you'll have something permanently in your possession that you'll have as a reference. You can evaluate, make your own assessment. By the way, they have different books before you even decide to give anybody any money, by the way, to show you, I'm not out trying to solicit. But I had a while ago, some people asked me, and I said, let me give the people what they want, by the way, because for years I didn't have a PayPal link or Cash App for donations. By the way, I appreciate those who have given donations and or paid for private consultation. That does help the channel out, and I won't disappoint. So that's why I'm going over this information, by the way. So if you are interested in that, by the way, after this video uploads or my previous videos, the information is in the description box, by the way, for bookings. And keep in mind, this is for private consultation, so this is under a different category. This is not necessarily statutory, by the way. And this is not legal advice. I did give a disclaimer. These are simply my opinions. But I go over information pertaining to my experience dealing with this particular craft, by the way, with my knowledge and expertise in this particular area. And like I say, to reiterate, I don't think you won't be disappointed, by the way. So just putting it out there again, if you're looking to get started, or you want to know more about this information, you're probably going to need to set up at least an hour consultation, definitely at the minimum, because within a short frame of a half hour, it's a lot of information that I've covered. And there's things that I send sometimes, a lot of times, there may be templates. In my own disclosure, I'll try to evaluate to each individual consultation, make an assessment based on what topic would we go over, And if I have a document related to validate to that area to prove if it's a definition or to prove how they hid this, I'll send that information after the consultation's over with, generally, or maybe even during the consultation if I'm on the internet at the time. I have that capability, by the way, and that's particularly why I've chosen, I do have a Gmail account where I can send really large, big files, by the way. And that is pertaining to once I make an assessment, evaluation in relation, and if you do decide to set up a private consultation, you want to leave whatever topic, whatever you're interested in trying to accomplish that you feel that I may be able to provide insight for you or I have expertise in that can assist you in that regard. By the way, so hopefully I've given a lot of clarification dealing with my experience, my expertise in this regard. But if you're looking to know additional information, if you want to know who's really advanced, I'm not going to put their names out on here, by the way, but I will, if you set up a private consultation, you know, I can go over that information. If that's one of the questions you remember to ask. Some people have their questions already typed out or pre-written, by the way. So that's just giving you a heads up. So I'm going to see, we have some more people in the chat. John Lovett says, it's good to see you again. You are a real brother. Keep up the good job. Appreciate you, Mr. Lovett. Thank you. Stacy Ross says, I'll go back and watch your older videos to catch up. Thank you so much for your much needed info. Appreciate you. You're welcome, by the way. 7100 Warhawk says, what volume is that book? By the way, this is actually the original edition of Operating Sovereign. They came out with an updated version, by the way. And like I said, to reiterate, I purchased, just doing research some years ago, back in maybe 2016, I want to say maybe 2015, I can't remember exactly. But the guy, by the way, I tell this story a lot. You may have heard me mention this story before, but I guess the people behind making or manufacturing this book, that produced this book, one of the personnel had reached out to me and actually in July of 2017 for free sent me an updated version on the house once he found out that I had done a review. See, I'm doing this as a courtesy. I didn't ask to get paid because I wanted to help people out. You see, I wasn't looking for a handout or money. By the way, I've helped out people in the past, by the way, just to show proof. So on the house, appreciate, I call him Guy. That's like a pseudonym name, by the way, which I respect anonymity for, you know, certain reasons. And he sent me an updated version. And after, this is not the latest manual, like to reiterate, they since updated it. They came out with their latest version. It's a more advanced book. I would suggest you start off with the basics, depending on what level you're at. One of their most advanced books is called Operating Invisible. By the way, I would say that's if you're more at a more advanced level. This book is more advanced too, by the way. Turn this down.
Tracy Fields calling on.
Turn that down.
At 12:30.
Okay, so to answer your question, 7100 Warhawk, this is the original version. This version, he actually told me at the time when he reached out to me, by the way, one of the people that produced this book stated that they were coming out with the updated version. And he was sent that. He kept his word, and I appreciate a guy from makefreedom.com. I think that's the other website you can purchase this book. But these are the websites, by the way, www.sovereignconnection.com, and this one's www.sovereignfilings.com. That's another website. So this is the original, one of the original versions. Now, they had other manuals prior to this book. By the way, one of the versions I didn't get the book on the UCC because I already had information on the Uniform Commercial Code, which is talked about in business and law. Look up the chapter on secure transactions, by the way. As I went over in this particular video, there's a PDF file I mentioned. I also discovered more recently, just to give you guys a heads up, if you go on YouTube, type in business and law or business law secure transactions, by the way, because a lot of this type of redemption information deals with the law. I've heard some of these people accuse us of being pseudo lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a paralegal. This is why I do give a disclaimer. However, I do have from a private source gave me a law some years ago. You don't have to have a license to practice the law in the state of Michigan. He gave me I don't have the specific code or statute on me. However, I still give a disclaimer that this is not legal advice. These are my opinions. I'm just sharing from my experience, by the way. But in the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional on your own leisure, at your own leisure, it is encouraged that you do so if you feel comfortable. Now, I have mentioned in certain regards, and I've gone over in private consultation, where some people, while they pay a lawyer or attorney to do the research or legwork for them, because some people feel like it's a lot of work. And I do get that, by the way, in certain regards. But when you get to a certain level in learning about this information, by the way, you will see the importance and how you would avoid certain types of jurisdictions by how you contract, by the way. And I go a lot more in depth for those that set up for private consultation. I go over, higher level information. There's even another aspect that's tied in with businesses. I'm aware how to operate. I am familiar with unincorporated business associations, common law express trusts, a little bit. I'm not saying I'm an expert or I'm like I have the foremost authority, but I'm versatile in these different disciplines. There's another book I was going to show. My friend's wife gave me her accounting workbook from college. Now they still kept the physical hardback book, but she had like a workbook that's like a book that goes along with the physical book, by the way, that talked about marketable and non-marketable securities, by the way, which is important to understand because you had gatekeepers and people just running off at the mouth trying to discredit this information being untrue and saying that their facts matter and giving information, putting information out there because they were stereotyping, when I'm giving you resources to look up to prove that the birth certificate, social security card are forms of registered securities. I just can't remember. One's a private issue government security, a form of, you have municipal securities, but a lot of times, to give you guys an idea, when people go into the field of insurance or working for insurance companies, that discipline is tied in with the financial field, financial sector, or you have heard the term economist. Just like if you've taken macro and microeconomics in college, which I took many years ago. My teacher, microeconomics teacher, talked about the Fed chairman. I think at the time, the chairman of the Federal Reserve was Alan Greenspan at the time. This is many years ago in the late 90s going into the early 2000s. By the way, you learn about GDP, that stands for gross domestic product. Similar to geometry and mathematics, you have chart graphs. Just like people who are traders, which I'm not an expert. I don't know how to trade yet. I'm learning, basic things, by the way, just throughout the years that I picked up on a side note. But you learn these different disciplines overlap one another. So those who work in the insurance field may have what's called brokerage licenses, where they have to take tests. You have like basic licenses, you have Series 63 licenses, you have Series 7 licenses, where people that trade stocks, or people I think that are stockbrokers, they have to get at least a Series 7 license based on your qualifications or your credentials. Just like you have a licensed public accountant, then you have a certified public accountant. There's certain credentials you have to have. Then you have what's called a tax attorney, where they're not only a lawyer attorney, they also are an accountant, which they're at a higher level. You see? Why is nobody explaining this stuff? So when these gatekeepers somehow that are trying to discredit this information as far as being a conspiracy theory, you see how I'm breaking down the evidence to you guys. If you're paying attention, if you have your eyeglasses on and you have your ears, there's a saying, he who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. By the way, so if you got your eyeglasses on and you're paying attention, I'm breaking down to you how these different fields, a lot of people don't understand about the private sector versus the public sector, the statutory side, and how these different disciplines on the public sector, they're acting as a third party in many cases. When I attended this private seminar many years ago, I was being taught by the elites. Well, the certain individual that was an elite was teaching us the secrets or tactics that members of the ruling class utilize, by the way. And they've changed many things throughout the years. They've made it, I would say, difficult and hidden, by the way. Just like the so-called secret TDA accounts, they were real. I've done videos. I might do an updated video, but there's evidence behind those accounts, by the way. Matter of fact, I hate, because I hear so many lies out there, and I have private sources, by the way. And I'm no longer with this particular group, but I'm going to show this. I had a black card right here. I was with this original group many years ago. Now you see it has a strip. This is before on the new cards, the microchips were mandated. But if you can kind of see, I'll hold it up to the camera in a way. It's a magnetic, the newer cards had chips in them, by the way. But this is part of the so-called secret account. The secret TDA account. This is actual evidence. Facts matter. But it's important that the truth matters. The truth is what's important. Not fabricating lies and disinformation. Just because people got reversals doesn't mean these accounts don't exist, by the way. Just saying. So you're going to get accurate information at Dorsey's Resource. And if you like what I'm saying so far, guys, those who are watching, smash the thumbs up button. It helps me rank higher in the search results. It helps bypass the YouTube algorithms. By the way, if you want the momentum to build up, you want more people out there to support you or network with people, more like-minded people, it would be great to thumbs up the video, support this channel. Also share this video, by the way. I'm just saying, so a lot of people don't understand that, but I've been going over my experience in this movement, this manual. I have some updated information that I would like to go over. But once again, if you decide to set up a private consultation, by the way, just a future reference, a heads up, you're probably going to need to set up a 1 hour or more a consultation, because I have a busy schedule, by the way.
Tracy Fields, calling on at Robertson Manor.
I have information, by the way, that if you want to set up and say, hey, you're interested in learning redemption, you say, hey, Dorsey, I want to get started. The half hour is not going to be enough. Like, with as much as what this book covers, talked about one of the most recent consultations. This was with a guy. It was after I did one with a female guy. I won't say what state he was out of, by the way. Keep the names. Only time I mention real names is when I want to prove or a fact or something that's real. But I'm keeping anonymity, the person's name, secret. But I'm just referencing. And this is for others out there who are interested, because I've gotten other inquiries about people interested, because I have a busy schedule. And if you want me to recommend anyone that's more advanced than myself, I can go over those things. The half hour might be good enough. Say, hey, if you don't want to go through me, hey, that's fine. You want to go through someone else that's more advanced, I can direct you to them, because I'm good at networking, by the way. And from my experience, I can give insight behind these different processes. By the way, that's one thing I've developed. I might not have filed paperwork for some of these processes, but I have filed paperwork throughout the years. I've done several UCC financing statements in the past. I've done an authentication before. I've done a apostille. I know about the cancelator process. I know about the DBAs. I know about the trademark process. I was one of the ones who helped record the private Zoom webinars and helped send that out to people last year. Helped a lot of people out, by the way. I'm trying to think, excuse me, what other processes. I've done declarations before. By the way, I've done an affidavit of status. It was filed in federal court some years ago. I studied that process when Fred and Nina Gutierrez came out, was teaching about the checks off the closed account. I know information about that, why people were not doing it correctly, or I could provide insight, how Those are forms of negotiable instruments. How negotiable instruments is taught in business law. Go on YouTube and type in business law secure transactions, by the way. That deals with UCC financing statements and explains what is collateral, what is property. Use the terminology that's related to what they use. Now, some of the videos that you see are going to be of people that are ignorant, that are on the public sector, that don't know what they're talking about. They've just been trained. And this is not no shade being thrown at them, but I noticed I was looking up information about UCC financing statements, and I saw people in the comment section asking questions about, can you show me how to get access to the birth certificate? You got to understand, some of these people don't know. They just are teaching things that they have been taught on the public sector. They've never been taught about the private side. They don't know about the ruling class. And I went over that DVD called Secrets of the Elite by Pastor Lindsey Williams. You still might have a free version that you can watch on YouTube for free. I don't know if it's still on there. I haven't checked in a while, but there was a DVD. It was on YouTube for quite a while. It was called Secrets of the Elite by Pastor Lindsey Williams. But if you do have the money and you can't support him to buy the DVD, I encourage you. But he explains how there is another elite class of ruling class of people who are privy to this type of information. And I was told by a private source that they don't want you all learning this type of information, because I know there's a stampede of people trying to learn about this stuff. By the way, I was told this privately. There is a stampede of people out there. It was shared with me that I can tell from going to other videos of people that share this type of information related. There's a lot of people that really want to know, by the way. And let me say this too. There are a couple people I do follow who may not be as well known. There's one guy that travels around the country. I think he's based down in Florida. By the way, I won't say his name. And I looked at his process, and when he does some classes about the OID, and I saw where he was doing with the American Express card. And I understand that methodology, how he's acquiring that, by the way, because there's different procedures, by the way. So you're speaking to someone, what you will get if you set up a private consultation with me. I'll tell you, you won't be disappointed. I'm someone who was aware, even the first consultation I went over, by the way, I just asked the young lady, and she mentioned a guy I had heard of before on YouTube. He's not as big as some of the other people that I follow or recommend, by the way, but I like his videos, what he goes over. He's former military. I've looked, but I was familiar with him. The show, I'm still doing research. I'm still studying. I'm still staying active, by the way. There's a plethora of people, you know, that I can name. There's others, by the way. There's a channel out there. I'll give you guys a tidbit, a freebie called Radiant Clone. I had a lot of those older videos, by the way, of Patrick Devine, but some of those videos, I know which group. He had a Yahoo group, by the way, to show you I'm even aware of that process, by the way. So that's my experience from throughout all the years I've been involved in this information. Not a lot of people have that skill set or have that ability like myself to be able to identify these different procedures. But as one friend was sharing with me, is I know there's a saying, you don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So there are some things that I have I keep secretive, by the way, with how I operate. There's a certain process with how I avoid the courts. There was information that I received some years ago that it was an audio file, and I actually sent this to some people not too long ago, or maybe sometime last year. I don't know if the parties that I sent it to privately, if they listened to it, but this individual was very advanced, by the way. He comes from an elite group that this group that I studied with privately many years ago in the city of Detroit had traveled out west. I'll say to a western state. I won't say the gentleman's name, by the way, but however, he helped me understand. I was going through at the time many years ago a wage garnishment, and the IRS was trying to come on my back. And just with his audios, I would say this was back in '06. My older cousin, who I'll say I'm the oldest child. I never had a big brother, but my cousin, he actually called me recently. I called him back. He called me to wish me a happy birthday. February 9th was my birthday, by the way. Just on a side note, know you guys haven't heard from me in a while, but my cousin had told me many years ago, that's down south. He said, cuz, he actually gave me this audio, which I appreciate at the time. These audios actually helped me out behind the scenes tremendously. By the way, I was going through a garnishment situation. It was with a student loan. It wasn't for child support. I've never had any children before, by the way. And I had another situation. I was dealing with the IRS. And based off when I took the time to study these audios, it helped me. I would say they're highly advanced. And some people think just because they're audios or it's older information, but I would say it's still advanced to this day. And if it wasn't for these audios that I listened to, and this individual who was out west, who I appreciate, I'll say just Mr. Don at the time, I'll just leave it at that. Dan or Don, by the way, one of those names, by the way. Appreciate his information, helped me tremendously. And I'll say, give a hint, dealing with contracts and let's say with trust. And how you engage in business, it helped me connect the pieces tremendously. It was a blessing. So that's where my expertise comes into play. People don't understand, you know. So I know this consultation, it appears I gave the individual a lot. I know they were blown away. I know they were totally. So people, you got to understand too, if you have additional questions after the consultation, or you want me to recommend additional people, I have a busy schedule of life just like other people. I don't have private classes set up yet. Maybe working on that down the road. What I may do, what I've been thinking about doing for years, is starting a subscription service. By the way, there's different sites where if you pay a certain amount, it would be a reasonable fee. People could get access to the documents and reoccurring webinars and videos that I post where I go over the information, and it will be private. It'd be exclusive, similar to how people have with Patreon. By the way, you have other subscription services that people can pay for a reasonable fee, by the way, and you will be able to get access to things, documents, or processes that I think are critical. I could explain how they would assist you. I could explain how they can help, and I could even explain how, even when the powers that be try to change things, how you would need to make adjustments. Similar if you play sports. If you play football or basketball, how the coach makes adjustments, by the way, in the game. I'll be able to show you different techniques that I know individually. And that's where when people set up a private consultation, I'll be able to go over things like that I won't share over here, that are like my own personal secrets. Kind of like when I used to take martial arts many years ago. My Taekwondo instructor, I studied Chundukwan Taekwondo under Richard Morrissey at the time, who's retired. By the way, he used to tell me, he said, I may have taught you all the moves dealing with Chundukwan, but I haven't taught you what I know. And the same applies. I may have shown you different processes, but it doesn't mean I've taught you my own individual techniques or secrets that I know how to navigate. I even taught a lady dealing with traffic tickets, by the way, procedure, and she didn't know anything really too much about this process. By the way, I showed her just going over what to do, and I explained it to her. And I would just give a hint. It deals something with contracts, because there's certain rules, laws that the courts have to follow. They have a rules of civil procedure. Just like in the state of Michigan, they have to go by the MCRs, the Michigan court rules. The MCLs are the Michigan compiled laws. And if they violate that, that's misconduct. That's dereliction of duty. And in some instances, they don't have delegation of authority to make a legal determination of your affair. And keep in mind, contempt, if they want to hold you in contempt of court, is that civil or is that criminal? Because if it's civil, they have to produce the contract. If it's a criminal, they have to produce the injured party, because the state of Michigan is a political body when you're referring to the corporation and you're not referring to the de jure aspect, contract-wise speaking. Because remember, these many cities are put in corporations, many municipalities. That's why they have Dun and Bradstreet numbers or tax ID numbers for cities. That's how they tap into the courts and they can make money off of charging your bond, by the way, because remember the court system, they tap into the CRIS accounts, which stand for Court Registry Investment System, which is connected to the Federal Reserve. The county deals with the CAFR funds. This stands as an acronym for Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports, CAFR funds or CAFR accounts. That's how they, because remember at the county, how they also a courthouse where they'll deal with generally juvenile court, or they'll have a friend of the court that deals with child support, or they'll have a different name for it, or they'll deal with the probate court, by the way. Generally located in downtown or business district areas. I can say I've been to the probate court in my home city, Cleveland, Ohio, was in the basement. And in Detroit, Michigan, it was on the 13th floor of the Coleman Young building. And when I was in my home city, Cleveland, which I was born, and I was with a friend at the time, I saw probate on top of the rooms. And I used to always hear Patrick Devine, who's a guru. I don't know if he's deceased, but I heard he died some years ago. Rest in peace to. He's a pioneer in the movement, Patrick Devine. That's why that channel, just to give you guys a freebie, called Radiant Clone. It's a YouTube channel that reposts a lot of his audios. Patrick Devine mentioned about the estate, about probate. And I saw probate above those rooms, and I said to my friend who was with me, I said, Dre, I said, look, they're probating the estate, probate court. So that's how they're tapping into people's estate. They're stealing up underhandedly. They're stealing people's property. But they're tricking people, because the system that we operate under on the public side, we haven't been taught about the private, the equity side. By the way, the common law still exists, the de jure side. By the way, you look up that term and look up the Erie Railroad versus Tompkins case of 1938 dealing with case law. Erie Railroad versus Tompkins case of 1938. It's important to understand what happened, and there's some other history I can go into that explains these things. By the way. And I received some information from one of my other sources recently that said they're committing so much fraud that on the statutory side that you have no choice now. In some instances, you have to go through the equity side. So you have to start a case in probate, because there's some implications when you hire a lawyer or attorney. Because remember, the word attorney means to twist, study the prefixes and suffixes, the etymology, the word attorney, a turn on you, attorney, to twist. Remember, library is lie and bury the truth. Library, attorney means to twist. When you hire attorney, they're designed to represent you. Who are they representing you? Representing you to the court, by the way. When they say they're going to represent you, by the way, right? Well, think about represent. When they say they're going to represent, they're representing. Study the prefixes and suffixes. Also the etymology. Also, you need a Black's Law Dictionary, Bouvier's Dictionary, because what we were taught in regular Webster's Dictionary was those are general terms to dumb us down. But keep in mind, the court system speaks an entirely different language. They use legalese. Look up that definition, that terminology, vocabulary of legalese. I'll repeat it again. Look up the definition of the word person. Look up the difference between natural person. What the difference is. There's a difference between the term person, natural person. Look up the definition of the word individual. Also look up corporation. I've heard some instances where judges tried to help people and said, are you referring to the deceit in the state? By the way, look up civilitor mortis, civil death. They have you listed as civically dead when you're alive, because in order to engage in these contracts, these businesses, these contracts that you enter into, the name, the all caps name, the straw man, the legal fiction, legal person, in the court system, in lingus, you're doing business as the trust, the dead person, the dead man. Capitis diminution maxima. Capitis diminution maxima. There was a document that I researched online from listening to another guru to show you how cold I am. Now, I don't try to brag, but I have to give myself a pat on the back there, because a lot of people don't have this skill set. But I told people this document should still be online. It's for free. And I learned about this from, there was a lady in Switzerland who was part of the TDA movement that broke out back in 2017. And she's of Asian descent. And I saw her post the term in her video. So I looked up there's a PDF file, and it explains the definition and the history behind that terminology, with the difference between capitis diminutio maxima versus capitis diminutio minima, because there's a gatekeeper out there who's on a mission to destroy this information, that wants to keep people in the dark, that doesn't want you learning this information. They're an agent, but I don't know what type of agent. They're on a mission, by the way. And they're very wicked, very evil. This is very malicious, because there's a legitimate side to this type of information that I talk about, where I'm showing you guys books and resources that have definitions, glossaries that people have researched and put together to add credibility. Everything is not a conspiracy theory. You have to separate the two words. You have a such thing as conspiracy fact. You have a such thing as conspiracy reality. How I'm speaking to you guys in real time. This is reality, like you have reality TV, where this is not pre-recorded. If you're at this moment in time, after this video uploads, this is reality. Conspire just means anybody can conspire. Look up the death. Those are two separate words. See, they're playing a mind game. And if you study the history, it was either FBI or CIA came up with that word back in the 1960s after the Kennedy assassination. By the way, they created the word conspiracy theory, where they use that similar how they're gaslighting, like where the media is saying that the election wasn't stolen, there's no voter fraud. Similar concept. They're pushing propaganda. That's an actual term. Look up the definition of propaganda. Look up what gaslighting means. This is what the mainstream media is doing. Fact check. A lot of snoops, they're fraud, by the way. Remember, hate speech is speech they don't agree with, by the way. And I want to let you guys know, I've been meaning to do a video to speak about this separately. I'm not related to Jack Dorsey from Twitter. I want to put that on the record, by the way. I have no relation to Jack Dorsey from Twitter. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. I'm against, I think these big tech companies need to be broken up. They're a major egregious violation of antitrust laws. It's a great disservice that many of these legislatures and government are not doing enough to stop these companies from censoring. And it was strictly political what happened to Parler. Parler had nothing to do with the Capitol incident. They even reported a guy in New York, and they were still shut down just off of political bias. And they mentioned how Facebook and Twitter has groups. And Parler, one of the CEOs I listened to, the lady, she said they didn't even have any groups on there. Like, you know how people can collude and create their own groups, like on Facebook. How people have a lot of different groups for different disciplines. If it's prepping, survival, whatever genre you may be into. She said, hey, they don't even have groups on Parler. And you had these people that use Facebook and these other groups from different extremist groups use Facebook and Twitter a lot more, Instagram, and they had groups on there. Parler wasn't even set up for that yet. So it was strictly political when Amazon shut their servers down, by the way. So yeah, I do recommend we need to get on other platforms in case something happens to this YouTube channel, just to give you guys a heads up. By the way, I am on Rumble. I don't have any videos uploaded there, but just to give you guys a sneak preview, I may upload. I've got permission from Alex Jones and InfoWars to repost some of his videos over there, by the way. And you shouldn't have to worry about Rumble. They're on, I found out what servers they're on. They're pretty safe, I heard, by the way they're set up. Because I thought they were going to go down just like Parler, because they came out around the same time Parler did, by the way. But Rumble is pretty safe. They're a video platform, so videos that get censored, taken off YouTube, go over to upload them over on Rumble, or look for the banned videos on Rumble, by the way, like the Mike Lindell video on voter fraud. I heard there was some things in the video that was inaccurate, but overall it was a good video, by the way. There's another video that Gateway Pundit did where they showed evidence of ballots coming in at the TCF Center. You can see these videos. Go to ban.video or the resistance.video to see these banned videos, by the way, because I want to tell you guys, a lot of this information they're trying to hide, they're censoring out here. By the way, I'm also on Brighteon.com. I just haven't uploaded like a video, a photo, or any videos for my Dorsey's resource page. Just to give you you all another heads up, I'm also on Minds.com. So just in case, this is for on standby, in case anything happens to any of my YouTube channel, I do have a backup channel, Dorsey's Resource Channel 2. By the way, this is my bigger channel. I do more content over here. By the way, I may talk about different things on my backup channel, by the way. But just in case anything happens where I get shut down, you guys will have a heads up. You'll be able to find me over at Rumble, Dorsey's Resource. Even though I don't have any videos posted, you know, just hold tight. So be on standby. I'm working on down the road getting a Telegram account. Possibly, I heard a lot of conservatives over there. I lean more to the right than I do the left, by the way. But politically, I'm not a registered voter. I do uphold the process and respect the process of voting, by the way, but there's reasons, some of you all know those reasons why. I've gone over this in the past. I just don't want to be attached to the negative consequences behind that until I am at a certain level in what I'm doing in my endeavor. Then I will try to participate, and there's other ways you can still support candidates through donating and things of that sort, or even promoting, by the way. So I am pro freedom, I'm for liberty, and I'm not related to Jack Dorsey. So I want to make that clear. Even though my channel's name is Dorsey's Resource, I have no relation to Jack Dorsey at all. I you know, disavow what he's doing over there, that he's just a puppet for these other people. He has stepped down at one time some years ago as CEO, Jack Dorsey over there over Twitter, by the way. So I just want to reiterate, let you guys know, some of my conservative followers, by the way, I know a few of you all out there do follow me, even black conservatives. I appreciate you guys, by the way, that are awoke to the truth, that are really awake, that are not falling for the propaganda that's being pushed out here by many of the mainstream media outlets, by the way. So I just want to give you guys a backup. You can find Dorsey's Resource on Minds.com. Brighteon, maybe down the road, I can upload over there as a backup. I'm on Rumble, by the way. I may be working on uploading on MeWe. So just in case something happens even to my Twitter handle, my Facebook, or YouTube, you guys will have other options or other ways to be able to find me. And that's why I want to do a video to let you guys know I'm still here. Even though I'm at the slave plantation, as I call it, want to let you guys know I'm still going to work on bringing you guys content. And I'm going to work on trying to come before you guys during the day. A lot of times I'm tired because obviously I'm on a graveyard shift, by the way. But you never know. You may get a surprise in the morning or during the day, the afternoon or evening. May do a video, by the way. So not to get too far off track, I'm going to see if any more people have jumped into the chat section before I shut things down, by the way. So appreciate you all for rocking with me, those who have joined. So hopefully I answered your question, 7100 Warhawk. Stacy says, how do I get in touch for consultation? I went over that in this same video earlier. Check the description box after this video uploads, or check my previous videos in the description box through my email at j279dorsey@gmail.com for serious inquiries only. This is for private consultation. You know, that's if you want to know what I know, by the way. And instructions, make sure you leave your telephone number, by the way. I stress that. So I will get in touch with you. Say, for example, I call you and you're busy. Say if you're at work, you can't talk. That will not count against you. I will, you know, we'll just reschedule, but I try to get those consultations knocked out because I'm on a time constraint and I don't want to be waiting several days, or, you know, I don't want you to be upset if I'm sleeping on one of my off days. I'm sleeping in and I don't answer the phone, by the way. So I try to get those knocked out in a timely fashion, by the way. And you trust me, you guys won't be disappointed if you do decide to set that up. Steve Stein says, greetings, Dorsey. Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you for joining. Carl Kerr says, can you touch on child support and UCC codes dealing with peers and also the wicked child support system, expose them? I don't have a lot of notes or information pertaining to that, Carl. I have to get back with you on that. Specifically, I don't know the UCC codes offhand pertaining to child support. I do know someone that I recommend, I know of, who's advanced, by the way, but you have to set up a private consultation in order to find that person out. That's part of my service, the fee that I charge. Even I'm kind of like an unofficial networking service. That's like my unofficial finder's fee. There's someone I can recommend. There's several gurus, a couple people that I know that are good at dealing with child support, but I'm not strong in that area. I'm not an expert, but I do remember one person that's more knowledgeable than myself that came to Michigan some years back, and I actually recorded their seminar. He actually showed the law, and that child support law is tied in with the Title 42, I believe, Code 666, and was connected to the Social Security Act or whatever, how they codified that with the United States codes, which sometimes is tied in with the statutes at large. So that child support was really deep. That's like a super contract. And I also know of another guy on the public side who's a paralegal who does a legal maneuver, by the way. But that can be, there's a way to get rid of that, definitely, by the way. Shandu Ramirez says, I need your help. I pay here, Dorsey. I'm glad you're ready to help people get right. Thanks, bro. You the best. Appreciate you. Thank you for the inspiring words. Carl Kerr says, touch on contract law dealing with child support and their voidable contracts. Okay. Got that message already. Like I said, to reiterate, that's not an area I can give you an idea, but I have to get back with you on that. I do have some templates, but there's a particular someone that I know that has even a webinar on that, by the way. But like I said, in order to find these things out, because even though I may not be strong in that area, that's where you're paying for my experience, my knowledge in that regard. That's my intellectual property, by the way. Part of my service is there's a very advanced guru who I highly recommend. It's phenomenal, I think. In my opinion, I think I actually put him at the top compared to some of the other top people out there. And he's one of the few out there that has, it's actually a couple that has a webinar on that, on dealing with child support. So I feel your pain, I feel your frustration. That's not one of my strong points. I have to probably do a separate follow-up video to touch on that. But if you're interested, and you'll have to set up a private consultation with me to find out what guru that is that can get you straight, that has all the steps that can that can knock that out. And I would say it's a lot better than even going through a paralegal or somebody on the public sector, once you learn about the private side and getting your stuff straight, by the way. Whew, I've been doing all this talking. Give me a second, guys. My throat's getting sore. Gotta get some water. But I appreciate you all rocking with me. If you're just joining me, just now, I'm your host, John Dorsey, doing business as a legal fiction. You're watching Dorsey's Resource. I'm going over my experience pertaining to the redemption information, and I may be going over a series of different books and resources to help assist one and my expertise in that regard. So don't forget to hit the smash the like button if you can. If you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. I'm also on Rumble, once again, minds.com, by the way, Brighteon. Also recommend independently check out band.video. The alternate link is the resistance.news or the resistance.video, but that's Alex Jones's video platform site. His information is very important. I stay abreast of the news information, by the way. So just giving you guys a heads up to get real quality news versus your local news. Now, some stuff, the local media stories they report on, I like, but it's a lot of propaganda, just like the mainstream media. So that's why I do give independent social media sites. Also, BitChute, it's another good independent social media platform. I'm not on BitChute yet, by the way, but just giving you guys a heads up. Those are the platforms you can find me on, other than just the mainstream ones, because we don't want to give all the power because of what Facebook is doing with the censorship. Twitter, remember, they lost billions in shares when they did to Trump after that. So they lost a lot of money. You guys are hitting them in the pockets. And I support Mike Lindell, support My Pillow, by the way, what he's doing. By the way, don't pay attention to all that propaganda, fraud coming from the left control media, Mockingbird media, with a lot of propaganda. That's why we got to get on these other platforms. We can't let YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter have all the power. You know what I'm saying? Because they're acting as dictators and monopolies. I learned about in business law class, which is related to this information, about antitrust laws were created to help protect small businesses, smaller corporations. So the Walmart, Sam's Clubs, and Costco's don't have all the power, don't have super monopolies. It's supposed to help small businesses, the small guy. Same with independent consumers and independent media. You cannot control people's speech. That's criminal. That is authoritarian. That is communism. That is socialism. That's criminal. And we need to call your senators, your House representatives, your congressmen to pass legislation to hit these big tech companies, by the way, or hit them in the pockets, boycott them. Because what they're doing is wrong. Even though I know I'm on on YouTube, it might seem hypocritical, but we can still use these platforms to get back at them. Use their weapons back against them, by the way. Just when you can, if the videos that if YouTube removes, just go and put those on Rumble or look for them on BitChute. A lot of them, like the videos they banned of doctors, qualified, astute people, by the way, that are genuine, credible people. You can find these videos on Band.video. You can find them on BitChute, Brighteon, by the way, Minds.com. So there's other platforms rising up. So these big tech companies don't have a monopoly, by the way. Nero 5287 says, can I get a bank account without an SSN? Yes, that is possible. There's a way to do that. Actually, this book right here, give you a hint, has a subject on that, by the way. And then to show you guys, I've done my research, sharing this as a courtesy. So sometimes you guys get free consultation, free help. When because I forgot this video was Q&A as well. I added that in. Bikereem says, hello, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Secret Balance Thoughtburn says, happy birthday, Dorsey. Can you talk about I'm an individual, Indian monies, and anything you can say here about a mass movement and the impact can make it about the I am individual Indian monies. I'm not sure what that is, what you're referring to, Secret Balance. If you're still here, if you want to elaborate, what is the IIs or LM individual Indian monies? I'm not sure if you're referring to some type of indigenous form of reparations, by the way. Your other comment says, great research, Dorsey. I am flowing well with you. Appreciate you. Keisha in the building. What's going on, Keisha? Says peace and blessings to you. Blessings. Namaste, Keisha. Big shout out to you. By the way, happy born day. Many blessings throughout. Thank you. Appreciate you. Mirror says, greetings, my bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Shandu Ramirez says, I have to renew my UCC. Do you have any links to how to renew in Greensboro, North Carolina? I have been getting the runaround. Well, check the description box. Like I said, Shandu, you know, I can go maybe down the road. If I do an updated video, I may be able to touch on some of that information. I'm not at my computer, guys, and for the sake of time, I'm gonna get ready to shut things down, by the way. But I do appreciate you all rocking with me, so I can provide assistance. You probably want to set up a private consultation. Shandu Ramirez, he says, I have to renew my UCC. Okay, I got you. Thanks so much for answering my question. Okay, got you. Secret balance says trust fund accounts for American Insular Indians under the Department of Interior. I'm not familiar with that secret balance. I may have heard of that. I have a source, by the way, but this one particular source that I have, I can't really go into the details about. Some people are under NDAs or gag orders, by the way, where they have to practice limited contact, and they had information about that. I would have to get in contact with them about that, by the way. And there's another, I would say, advanced person that teaches this type of information that may have information pertaining to that, by the way, I could go over. But I'm not familiar with the those trust fund accounts. I may have heard of them before, by the way. But one thing I'll tell you, I like to see reparations passed to show you guys that even though politically I do lean more to the right versus the left, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not I probably maybe like an independent. By the way, I'm not sure which category I will fall up under, moderate conservative, by the way. But I do support reparations. By the way, I had a subscriber that I had a talk with a while ago that is a Trump supporter. Nothing wrong with that. I supported 45. You know, I'm paying attention to what's going on out there behind the scenes. Overall, I know contrary to popular belief, I am split on certain issues. I'm bipartisan on, by the way. I'm a fair, balanced person. I support certain aspects of Black Lives Matter. I think there does need to be police reform, by the way, to a degree, but I don't think the police need to be totally defunded. I do think some of the the money's resources need to be divested in positive programs to help uplift urban communities and disadvantaged poor people. I think that is a major start, but I think in a fair capacity, there needs to be balance where people that live in the ghettos or the poor need to also adhere to the rules and stop with this dependency mentality. I think there's checks and balances that need to be equally put in place so both sides, we can have a better society that's going. So I don't just put the blame just on one side. Both sides have to do their end. You know, just like the Breonna Taylor situation. When I speak on social justice, I had to think about it. At the end of the day, it's sad that would happen, and that's why they paid the family off. You had, even in the military where soldiers have killed each other, they call that friendly fire, even police officers, by mistake. By the way, I don't think those officers were coming there to hunt her down intentionally. They were there to serve a warrant, mainly on the guy, her former boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, but it was because of the guy, Kenneth Walker, that shot at the police. He's the reason she got caught in between the crossfire. By the way, that's what happened. They weren't there. I don't think no police officer gets up and say they want to kill somebody today. Now, some out there may be like that. I would say that's far and few in between, but the majority of law enforcement are there to try to serve and protect and just take orders. So in that situation of social justice, I think there needs to be a fair, balanced perspective. But the way the media was spinning the story, they show her in the EMS outfit. She was actually fired from being an EMS worker. And there was a young man who was murdered, who was killed, who was found in a car that was rented in her name, by the way. Now, I heard that was one of the reasons she no longer had the EMS job. So when the media is spinning that photo, they're not telling you both sides of the spectrum. You see, I'm giving you a fair, balanced perspective from both sides of the equation. I'm not on the left or right, by the way, but I'm explaining the information. It is for what it is. But in getting into liberation, that's one thing I do support is reparations. I do think African Americans, melanated people, do deserve reparations because I feel like if the Japanese received it because of Pearl Harbor, Native Americans have received reparations. Caucasian Jews from what happened in Germany received reparations for the Holocaust. Even former President Obama increased reparations, and that was only reported on by two black media television networks. That was Africa Diaspora Channel, that was Field. It used to be called Field the Advice Show, that changed the name of his YouTube channel to Africa Diaspora. And Dr. Boyce Watkins reported on it with My Black World. I think it's the name of one of the names of his YouTube channels or his brand that he goes by. One of only two black media outlets that reported that Obama would increase reparations for Hasidic Jews, Caucasian Jews, for something that happened overseas, but you have an atrocity that happens to his own people in his own country, and black people have never received reparations for all the atrocities and things that's going on over here. So I just shut it down. Just keep it simple, you know. But you evaluate what I said. That's my opinion about that. But I'm not familiar with the too much. I heard of the Department of Internal Affairs, but I'm not familiar with the Bureau of Indian Affairs or the Trust Fund Accounts for American Insular Indians. Sorry, Secret Balance says HR 40 was represented by Sheila Jackson Lee. Okay, yeah, I think I heard about that. I do support that, by the way, and bipartisanship. Even though I lean more to the right than I do versus the left. By the way, says there is a young man on the Moorish World TV named Kendrick who tells how BLM came there and trumped up the movement with the money and worked together with the media. Okay, very interesting. Well, I'm sorry, I'm short for time. I gotta get ready to go. I do appreciate the feedback. Just when things get good, you guys be sure, as always, if you guys see Q&A section, don't hesitate to jump in the chat, because you never know when things get really good. The momentum starts flowing when I go over a lot of information. I didn't have a lot of people when I first uploaded this video. Now we're up to 16. Appreciate you all rocking with me. I am your host, John Dorsey, at Dorsey's Resource, doing business as The Legal Fiction. Your host, you can find me at Dorsey's Resource on Facebook, Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, Minds.com, Rumble at Dorsey's Resource. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the notification bell. The marathon will continue. Real legends never die. To everyone out there, stay woke. Until next time, Wakanda forever. Be blessed. Peace. Peace and love. Take care.